都是呸！
干新娘的，这个新娘。
走，这个丢人，这丢人。走，快走，再等等，走，再等等。
现在我都已经很好跟俺兄弟说了解决，你看我是不是办还是学好了吗？你
这愿意换了这2次了，是不是你拿把给传上来的吧？我能把它装上去。
跳楼跳2次。
都有视频，可以到派出所去打人的事到派出所，你报警你去呗，
娘接亲被加要18万彩礼，新郎不给，强行带走了新娘。
On the wedding day, the groom was asked to pay an additional 180,000 yuan as the bride price. The groom refused to pay and forcibly took the bride away, but the bride's brother lay directly on the wedding car, refusing to let it leave. This farce was caused by money, and it seems that the promotion to eradicate such customs needs to be intensified. In Gudi Township, Xinyang City, Henan Province, both the groom and the bride are local villagers. On the wedding day, which should have been a joyous occasion, the groom arrived at the bride's house to pick her up, but the bride's brother and sister-in-law disagreed. The groom had previously transferred the bride price directly to the bride's bank account, instead of handing over the cash to the bride's brother and sister-in-law. At this point, the bride's brother and sister-in-law demanded an additional 188,000 yuan in cash, stating that if the groom did not pay it, they would not allow their sister to marry him today. Faced with this situation, the groom, in a panic, decided to take the bride away. He dragged her towards the wedding car. However, the bride's brother and sister-in-law were unwilling to give up, and immediately chased after them. They not only shouted loudly by the car but also tried to prevent the bride from leaving. In the end, the bride's brother even lay on the wedding car, refusing to let the car drive away. This scene attracted a crowd of onlookers from the village, and many people came to watch, causing traffic congestion and a chaotic scene with a large negative impact. After the incident, the local police station intervened and quickly took the bride's brother and sister-in-law to the station for admonishment or detention according to the law. The behavior of the brother and sister-in-law, occurring on the bride's celebratory day, sparked widespread dissatisfaction and discussion. Many netizens speculated that perhaps the bride's parents had already used the bride price for their daughter's dowry, and the bride's brother and sister-in-law were unhappy because they did not benefit from it, which led to their intense reaction. Regardless of the underlying reasons, this incident ultimately became a hot topic and the focus of public attention. The local civil affairs department later responded, stating that they would intensify efforts to promote the changing of custom and call for social change to avoid similar incidents in the future.
上海崇明最近发生2起因为高价彩礼而轻生的事件。
Recently, 2 suicide attempts occurred in Chongming, Shanghai, both caused by the high bride price, and the 2 incidents have striking similarities. The families of the women demanded 200,000 yuan and 300,000 yuan in bride price from the men, respectively. Unable to afford such a high bride price due to financial difficulties, the men had no choice but to break up with the women. However, after encountering this situation, the women were emotionally devastated, even having suicidal thoughts and planning to jump into the river to end their lives. Fortunately, they were eventually persuaded by passers-by. These tragedies sparked widespread discussion, with various opinions filling the internet. The 2 most discussed comments were as follows. One netizen shared the engagement story of their daughter, stating that on October 4th, the daughter got engaged, and the man gave her 68,000 yuan, of which 8,000 yuan was returned to him. 3 of the 10,000 yuan were used to purchase gold jewelry, while the remaining 30,000 yuan was given to the daughter. Another netizen said, I raised a cow, and after a few years, I had to sell it for several thousand yuan. I raised a daughter for more than 20 years, so why can't I ask for some bride price? I have a female classmate whose family owns a house and several commercial properties, earning an annual rental income of about 700,000 yuan. However, her boyfriend has ordinary conditions. When it came to the wedding, the man not only could not afford the bride price but also couldn't pay for the house. They originally agreed to share the cost equally, but the man insisted on borrowing money from her family and refused to register the property in her name, claiming that since the money was borrowed from her family, the house should be considered as bought by his family. Her family naturally disagreed, but in the end, they compromised and went along with his suggestion. On the wedding day, I was the bridesmaid. Because the woman's family made some concessions, their life together is now going quite well. The man is very grateful to her family, so he works hard at home, is generally honest, and treats his wife well. I believe the bride price issue can be acceptable if the man's family has the financial capability and is willing to give it. However, if the man truly cannot afford it, what's the point of forcing him to pay such a high price? If you want the man to pay a high bride price, then your daughter should date a man who can afford it. As long as the bride price is reasonable, it doesn't matter who pays it, we can still get married. Since ancient times, the bride price has been a tradition. The old saying goes, a daughter is like water poured out and can never be returned. But now, how many daughters truly become water poured out? Many women still have younger brothers, and it's not uncommon for them to help their parents financially after marriage. So it's not a one-time transaction, life goes on. If your daughter marries, and your parents fall ill, would your daughter not come back to take care of them? Would she not use her money to pay for their medical bills? If you are asking for an astronomical bride price now but giving the man no dowry, are you planning to sever ties with your daughter in the future? Does this mean that once your daughter marries, she is completely part of the man's family, and the bride price represents the total cost for raising her, including her food and education fees? This is absolutely absurd. If you make things too difficult for the man over the bride price, aren't you just creating a bad influence on your daughter's future marriage life?
朋友们，你说这个父母能不能要闺女结婚订婚的彩礼钱？
Do you think parents can ask for the bride price when their daughter gets married? This issue may spark quite a bit of controversy. Many people believe that since parents have raised their daughter for many years, it is only natural for the daughter to give some bride price when she gets married, especially if she marries into another family. This bride price, as a form of compensation to the parents, is seen as reasonable. However, in reality, some parents do ask for a bride price, while many others do not. In fact, some families, even though they have asked for a bride price, often end up arguing about it after the marriage, and the relationship becomes unpleasant because of it. I remember many years ago, when I wasn't married yet, my mother said something similar to me: "We'll accept whatever bride price the other party is willing to offer, no matter how much. As long as they are willing to give, we shouldn't ask for more." She said this calmly, without insisting on a specific amount, but she had a deeper concern. If we make things difficult for the man, what will happen when you get married? What if his family makes things difficult for you? My father shared the same view. He said, "No matter how much the man gives, I will make sure it's an even number. I won't take any of it from you. You take it all, and I'll add a little extra as dowry. Even though our financial situation is limited, I want you to leave home in a dignified manner. Don't let your husband later complain that we took too much bride price and that you're like a bought wife." At that time, the bride price for my wedding was 12,000 yuan, which wasn't particularly high, but it was enough for my husband and me to have a fairly decent wedding. My father also gave me 50,000 yuan because I really wanted to buy a laptop. Not only did he help me buy the laptop, but he also helped me get some furniture and household appliances. My parents' approach made me realize that the support and help from one's family is the foundation for a daughter to stand confidently and steadily in her husband's family. This doesn't just mean that if the daughter faces unfair treatment in her husband's family, the parents will intervene and protect her. More importantly, the parents' approach and attitude should leave no room for others to find fault. Only then can the daughter live with dignity in her husband's family. My parents always believed that raising a daughter meant not only ensuring she had good character, abilities, and independence, but also teaching her not to rely on others, not to be lazy, and to respect her parents. In marriage, she should know how to maintain a harmonious relationship. My parents never demanded a high bride price. Instead, they gave me a lot of invisible support. I remember my father specifically emphasized that, regardless of the bride price, he would treat my husband like a guest of honor, welcoming him into the family. Friends, do you think, as long as this man has a little conscience, he would dare to treat me badly? That's why my married life is very happy now, and my husband treats me very well.
有的小姑娘问姐彩礼重不重要？那是相当重要。
Many women have asked me whether the bride price is really important. My answer is, it is extremely important. As for how much and how to ask for it, I think it really depends on the local customs and circumstances. We can't ask for too much, but we also can't ask for too little. If others are asking for 50,000 yuan, I'll ask for 50,000 yuan. If others are asking for 100,000 yuan, I'll ask for 100,000 yuan. Anyway, I'm not planning to ask for more, nor less. It all depends on the local practices and the actual situation. If you insist on asking what is reasonable, then don't ask for too much, but also don't underestimate yourself. The most important thing is to stay within reason. For example, in our city, it's quite common for the groom's family to give a bride price to the bride's family, and the bride usually gives some dowry to the groom's family in return. Some families might give a car, and others may offer a substantial amount of money. In fact, the bride price and dowry are not for showing off, but to help the couple have a happy life. Actually, the less bride price you ask for, the more you might feel self-satisfied, but no one will appreciate you for that. Your status in the groom's family may end up being lower. I think women should ask for the bride price, as long as it is not excessive. Some people think asking for a bride price is like selling your daughter, and that the bride price is given to the mother-in-law. But that's not the case. Most of the money doesn't go to the bride's parents but ends up in the couple's new home. If you give your wife enough security, this money will eventually be used to build your family and won't be taken by others. The bride price, in many cases, actually acts as the startup capital for the marriage. Although the bride price sometimes seems like just a formality, it can reflect the attitude of the groom's family. Some families genuinely like you and think you're a good person, and they're willing to borrow money, take out loans, or raise funds to prepare the bride price, even if it's a large amount. Some families, however, may not want to give anything at all. They may have 500,000 yuan in savings, but if you ask for 50,000 yuan, they might think you're asking for too much and feel that you should ask for less. So, in some ways, the bride price can reflect the real attitude of the groom's family towards you. I think for unmarried girls, you should ask for the bride price that you deserve and follow the proper customs. Don't underestimate yourself, and don't easily compromise, as long as it's not excessive and is reasonable. Even if you choose not to accept the bride price, it doesn't mean others will be grateful for your kindness. But don't ask for 1 million or 2 million yuan when you open your mouth. Asking for an excessive bride price is a bit unreasonable. I think women should just ask for a reasonable amount of bride price, and what we deserve should be given. We should not accept less than that.
现在像这农村这边个要娶个媳妇得花多少钱？这样啊。
In our rural area, how much does it cost to marry a wife? Taking the area around Shaoxian as an example, the first threshold of the bride price is basically 11,000 yuan. In addition, it's also necessary to buy the bride a mobile phone and a few clothes from the city, which are the most basic requirements. The second threshold, however, has a higher standard, with amounts like 120,000 yuan, 140,000 yuan, or 160,000 yuan. The requirements vary from family to family, but the difference is usually around 20,000 yuan. The exact amount depends on the family situation. If you also want a car or a house, you will need to prepare more, possibly 500,000 to 600,000 yuan, or even over 1 million yuan. After all, the number of rural girls is decreasing, and finding a suitable girl in 3 or 5 villages is not easy. As for the house, most families in the countryside already own a house, so there is no need to buy a new one in the city. However, if you have a job and want to live in the city for convenience, that's also fine. In general, a bride price of 160,000 yuan or 120,000 yuan is still affordable if you borrow a little money. However, I think if the family already owns a house in the countryside, there's no need to buy a new house. What I can't really accept is when the bride's family asks for a house. After all, an ordinary house costs at least 500,000 to 600,000 yuan. And if they want a larger house or one with better renovations, it becomes even more difficult to calculate. If the bride's family only has one daughter and one son, they might ask for a lower bride price. But if the bride's family has many sons, they will tend to ask for more bride price. They say that if they don't ask for a bride price from you now, what will they do when their sons get married in the future? Of course, there are families where the bride's family is in good financial condition, and they might not ask for a high bride price. On the other hand, if the bride's family is poor, they might be very demanding. I've also noticed that many girls are just unrealistic. They don't consider the elder's situation at all, and insist on such a high bride price. I don't understand whether they are after the man himself or after his money. Many girls, no matter how poor your family is, still want an even higher bride price.
Is asking for a bride price the same as selling your daughter? If we don't have 188,000 yuan, today's wedding won't happen. In recent years, the issue of bride prices has sparked widespread discussions, especially as some relationships have fallen apart due to disagreements over the bride price. Some people believe that asking for a bride price is essentially treating the daughter as a commodity to be exchanged, viewing it as an outdated and untimely tradition that should be completely abandoned. They even consider it an act of objectifying women. However, others have stepped forward to defend the bride price, arguing that its existence is not meant to exploit women, but rather to protect their rights. They see it as a cultural tradition and social custom that doesn't pose any problem. Some friends have also pointed out that the bride price is not a business transaction for profit. Rather, it is a way for the woman and her family to gauge the respect and sincerity of the man's family. Through the bride price, the woman's family not only wants to understand the man's financial situation and his sincerity, but also wants to assess the attitude of his family. So the question arises, if the man has shown sincerity, how should the woman express her sincerity? I believe that while a bride price is not necessarily something that should be completely excluded, it must be set at a reasonable level. The key is to base the amount on the financial situation of the man's family and avoid blind comparisons. Most importantly, we should never let an exorbitant bride price become a stumbling block for the marriage or a burden that affects happiness. Dear friends, do you need to pay a bride price when getting married in your hometown? Feel free to share your views and experiences in the comments section, and let's discuss this issue together. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to bring you better content. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.